All right, I have sent off both runners to get started with game number one. Aquas versus Governatore. Aquas becoming, of course, the latest member of the Sub-6 Club. Last night, though, we almost had a 21st member as Tapatio J just missed it. He did get a PB last night, but he missed the Sub-6 by about 3/4 of a second. But we are going to be underway now for game number one. Aquas versus Governatore5. We will get them lined up in just a moment. Aquas does have the Razor Shield, and he is also being player number 2. One of the few contestants who does play as player number 2. So he'll be spawning from the right door instead of the left door. Both of them do have their Razor Shield. Smart Bomb near the middle for both of them, and they're both going to ignore it, of course, because that is going to be a time loss. Foot for Aquas, invulnerability for Governatore, so neither player will be able to get the early explosion. It is going to be Aquas with the hole shot, as Governatore does clear out the rest of the room. For Aquas, it is going to be about a low 42 versus a upper 46. I'm going to call it 2 3/4 seconds of a lead for Aquas going into collect power-ups. So, opening drop going to be key. It's a foot for Aquas, followed up by a spreader and vulnerability for Governatore, which is okay when you don't have an orb. But it looks like Governatore is going to go ahead and ignore it. He wants to keep control of the middle. More spreaders for Aquas. Going to get some good firing lanes here on these foot soldiers. But it's going to be Governatore5 with the first orb of the match. Governatore, of course, with that orb, going to be able to fire twice as much weapon and have a better job of keeping control of the middle. Unfortunately, he ends up losing the orb late in the room, too. A tough break there. 126 for Aquas. As Governatore having trouble getting that last shrapnel down. He's 7 seconds behind. Neither player has an orb. So here we are in Eat My Shrapnel, where we have to take down 18 of the Mr. Shrapnel dudes as both players get a Razor Shield. Only 4 of those Mr. Shrapnels can be on the screen at once. So you want to make sure that you have both the Swarmers and the Shrapnel dudes controlled. You don't want to have 4 in the room, because otherwise that is going to be a time loss. As Aquas gets his first orb of the match. At about the 2-minute mark, next drop is a key, which of course he's going to wisely ignore, as Fern Burgundy has joined me here in the commentator's booth. Welcome, my friend.
Good to be here. I do apologize for the delay. I had, I guess perhaps a little bit of a reaction to too much product placement.
It happens. I mean, that Taco Bell, it's good stuff, but it does some things to your body sometimes. But great to have you here, as always, as we have a Smart Bomb on the floor for Aquas. Governatore still no orb here in Total Carnage. He gets rockets, does Aquas. Oh my goodness, rich getting richer.
They most certainly are, and that just seems to be the way things go, although not exactly favoring the favorites, at least in terms of the seeding in the tournament. Aquas a 27 seed, Governatore a 19 seed.
Yes, those were the seedings, of course, coming in, but as you can see on our leaderboards, Aquas has now got the better PB. Again, as close as the PBs are between the two competitors, this could swing one way or the other, but Aquas unfortunately lets that last shrapnel go off. Didn't have enough rockets to finish that off. He does have a 312 going into the bonus room. Governatore with rockets. He spent a long time in this room without an orb, so unfortunately we're probably going to end up seeing that swirl of shame. Gets a spreader, followed up by a Smart Bomb. Could use it, doesn't get the swirl of shame. He's able to finish up the room, but he's about 19 seconds behind there for Ron.
That is a little difficult in the early going here, but who knows? The drops have certainly had their share of challenges in tank trouble, as well as with Mutoid Man, as we have a foot here to start. Oh, well, commentator's curse, I suppose.
Yeah, the shrapnel ended up picking up Aquas as he was really squeezed in that upper left corner trying to take down the 2 gunners. Governatore, if he can get a rocket to open, may have a chance, and does get a rocket to open.
There we have more rockets now for Governatore.
Yeah, the tables are turning. Governatore getting the rich drops here. Rockets through this room can carry you if you keep on getting them. And vulnerability, which Governatore can use to maybe conserve a little bit of that rocket, because he's now out of that second clip. Aquas, meanwhile, having all kinds of issues here in tank trouble, just not getting any drops. And Governatore getting some solid drops here. He may cut into this lead for Ron.
It's looking very likely, as both now with some one-ups, the dudes that you don't really want to see, at least at this caliber of play. For somebody like me who dies a lot, you wouldn't mind seeing it, but
yeah, if you lose all of your lives, that is a subject to a 5-second penalty. Aquas is still going to have the lead with a 450. He's not going to be really happy with that time. Governatore has this tank that's kind of pesky here. There is a razor shield, and he's able to get to it.
And this should be the last of the room here for Governatore. Just needs to take out the last Swarmer and Shrapnel. Does so into 508 into Mutoid Man.
He ended up gaining 1 second on Aquas, so unfortunately Governatore wasn't quite able to take advantage of the better drops, but Aquas getting trolled by Trolltoid Man with invulnerability. So here's a lobber for Governatore. So right now, this is pretty close.
This has gotten pretty close pretty quickly here. Those gunners being rather annoying, and Governatore just going to ride out the lobbers, avoided the rockets, and now going to utilize the grenades to finish off, hopefully, that last gunner.
He's able to do so. First arm pops off for Governatore, but the second arm pops off for Aquas. So right now I'd say he's a little bit more than a form lead and the weapon advantage to Aquas, as we do see the rib cage pop up. And now a spreader.
Oh boy. Oh, it gets zapped!
And a spreader now for Governatore. And a replacement! Are you kidding me? Aquas, that could be the winning spreader right there. It's already final form Burgundy.
Oh my goodness. How lucky is that? Back-to-back spreaders. Got zapped with the one, and immediately it comes back here, and that does look to give, and it does give Aquas game one here.
This is going to end up being about a 100-second Mutoid Man fight for Burgundy. I mean, Aquas had the lead by 18 seconds, died getting that spreader, and then ends up getting the perfect spreader to get all that damage, get some transfer damage in as well, and lock up game number one. Governatore had a chance for a spreader himself, but yeah, that was just the perfect death right there. Sometimes it happens that way, Farhan, but there you go.
What can you say? Even though it's not on the brackets as a favorite, RNG is favoring the favorite here in Aquas, one of the 20 with the sub 6 times, sub 6 minutes.
Unfortunately, Governatore learning the hard way that the final form of Mutoid Man, his hitbox, is a lot bigger than you would think.
And, another death here for Governatore, and is going to get the lobbers, and this should finish it off, and it does. This one looking it's going to be a lot closer than the score indicates, with an over minute difference between the two.
Yeah, certainly, Farhan, because, again, 18 seconds was the difference going in, and it ends up being a 1 minute and 9 second, or I'll appease you guys, a 69 second difference. So it ended up being a 51 second net gain for Aquas, but a big bulk of that gain was due to that one spreader.
Yeah. Good luck.
You can't script these things sometimes, what can I say? Well, LOZ Cards fan is going to go in and get game number 2 underway here. He'll give the obvious score here of Aquas 1, Governatore 0. As mentioned, we have a pair of elimination matches coming your way here tonight, and we are certainly looking forward to it here. We've got our runners setting up the manipulation to get that opening Razor Shield. And we've got the countdown in the matchup channel room, and our runners should be underway momentarily.
Certainly here. So Governatore with the 625. Again, Aquas does have the 554. Yep, that was kind of a rough arena one there for Aquas. But yeah, Mutoid Man definitely sealed that game for him. Let's see what happens as game number 2 is going to be underway.
Good luck.
And the timer's set, and maybe about a fraction of a second off, but, we don't have robots running these things here.
Yeah, that is true. Bryce Hall pointing out that Aquas did play Arena 1 very well. It's just that he got absolutely no drops to help him out in tank trouble. Governor got drops, but again, just wasn't quite able to take advantage. The funny thing was, Farhan, after he dropped that orb early in Collect Power-Ups, he never saw another orb that entire match.
Sometimes the game is forgiving, and sometimes the game tends to give you the business.
Look at this. It's going to be Governor with the whole shot with a 40 in about 3/4. Aquas about a half second back.
You'll need it.
Yeah, certainly not going to decide the race, but it's always good to get off to that nice start.
Oh, but look at this. Aquas gets the opening orb on the very first drop, followed up by a spreader. Some good stuff lining up for Aquas early.
Governor, meanwhile, seeing the nuke opts to leave it be and is leaving the second one alone as well.
I might have grabbed that one, Farhan. I mean, try to clear the room here, force a better drop because he's gone a long time without an orb. And Aquas, a pretty good time, a 121 going into Eat My Straddle. That's very good.
Yeah, you want to be in the low 120s. Anything under that 120 mark is phenomenal. So being right there around that 120 is looking in good position here. 135, meanwhile, already 15 seconds behind here for Governor.
Yeah, this is quite the deficit, and Aquas getting richer here with a Razor Shield should help control these Swarmers and have these Mr. Shrapnels under control. If he can get some rockets, that would really help him out. Spreader, that'll do to get rid of the rest of the foot soldiers. More spreaders. Now I'm going to use that Razor Shield, burn that off so that he doesn't have it at the end of the room, and very good. 203 into total carnage for Aquas with a little bit, actually quite a bit of that spreader club left.
Yeah, Aqua's using the player 2 strats. Not a whole lot of runners tend to do that, but sometimes the way the drops go, it helps, and sometimes it doesn't.
Gained a second on Governor. That lead is now up to 16 seconds, and still no orb. Governor has not seen an orb since Collect Power-Ups game number 1. This is just brutal luck. Aqua's continuing to get spreaders upon spreaders, getting some decent drops here in total carnage. That key, of course, he's going to wisely ignore. A foot for Governor in a tight spot, able to pick that up, but still no orb. The game is just being absolutely cruel. And look at this. Aqua's putting up a real good time. It's a 3 flat into the bonus room. That's excellent.
I'd buy that for
That is
$1.
absolutely fantastic, and now the game's starting to be a little bit generous here with rockets and razor shields, but Vitamin R coming a little late.
That's 3 Vitamin R drops in a row for Governor. Now 4 drops in a row. Where was this luck earlier game?
Oh, goodness, who knows?
He's 31 seconds back, but the good news for Governor is he is going to have rockets to take with him to open up tank trouble, whereas Aquas didn't get that kind of fortune. Going for the top strats, trying to take down both of the gunners, does so successfully, sees a smart bomb. Can he get to it? He's trying, no, he gets blocked off by the gunfire from that tank, so Aqua's going to have to continue to, and there's another one, look out, oh, close call.
Wow.
Finally an orb for Governor, so maybe he'll have a chance to pick up some time. And now a Razor Shield.
There's a Razor Shield.
These are the kind of drops Governor needs to get back into this one. But here comes Vitamin R for Aquas, is able to pick that up. Has to dodge some fire from the tanks. Loses the orb near the end, so he will not get the ball buster opportunity, but he's still going to have the lead with a 425 into Mutoid Man.
I'd buy that for $1.
And Governor, doing a little bit better here. Had gotten an orb in Eat My Shrapnel, but lost it fairly quickly in thanks to a bit of cavalier play toward the lower door with some of those purple swarmers. But it's going to hang on to this one here heading into Mutoid Man.
You know, he picked up 9 seconds on Aquas. That was a really good tank trouble there by Governor. So he has a chance. There's a spreader, and Aqua's going to go for the manuals here. Needs to jam it in to get the 9 times damage. Then he gets sabotaged. Might not be the worst thing in the world there. Again, Aqua's needed to do manuals to make the damage happen. So not a terrible play there.
And Governatore goes for the ball buster and gets it. So that's 42% of a form done on Mutoid Man, but still is a couple of forms behind here as both arms popped off for Aquas. Governatore now.
Look at this.
Oh, no.
Spreader in a prime location for Aquas. He can get a couple of form transfers in at the very least. Oh, but he gets sabotaged.
Another sabotage.
Yeah, that one hurts a lot more than the first sabotage there. He does get to the head pop-off penultimate form. Still has a very comfortable lead here on Governators. He's got rockets. He needs a spreader right now, and he's just not getting it.
Final form now for Aquas, and this is going to not be a sub-6, but it'll be definitely in the low 6s, probably 6. Well, I was going to say, if there's no drop coming here, probably closer to 6.
Oh! So forget the 610s. There's a spreader for Governatore, but it might just be too little too late, and that is going to be too little too late, as Aquas is going to be a game away from racking up at least $15.
So the winner's moving on to a money round, and the loser eliminated from the tournament. That's adding some insult to injury.
Yeah, and Governatore, I'll tell you what, he didn't really do much wrong in this match. He just got absolutely flat out dried up by the drops early on. When he finally did get that orb, by that time it was just too little too late. Aquas had established a big enough lead that he wasn't going to look back.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of hosing going on as far as the drops go, and this is going to be a little bit closer than the previous race, but again, it definitely was a lot closer. Governatore doing everything he could with what little that he had.
Yeah, absolutely, Ferran. It's going to be this time a difference of 44 seconds, so still, Aquas gained 26 seconds on Mutoid Man. So not only has he played the arenas better, not only has he's been luckier too. He's had luckier drops, early orbs, better drops for the Mutoid Man fight. Governatore has been playing well with what the game's been given to him, but this RNG needs to change, and it needs to change now.
Yeah, no more wiggle room at this point here, as this is a best of 5, so Aquas up 2-0. Governatore gonna have to pull off the reverse sweep in order to advance into the tournament here and into the money rounds. E.T. Go Ham awaiting the victor of these two.
All right, Fern, I've got both of these runners ready to go. They should be started with game number 3 in the next few moments.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention in chat, apparently RN Jesus Zero noting that he does accept PayPal bribes.
Alrighty, it's game number 3 between Aquas and Governatore. Governatore gonna have to do something that's not been done yet in this tournament, and that's pull off a reverse sweep. Both of them have their razor shields to start things off.
Yep, early nuke here for Aquas. You don't really want to see it this early into the room. I believe it's the low 50,000s is where you want to see that to finish off the room a little bit earlier.
But look at this. Once again, Governatore going to have the whole shot coming out of the first room. He's going to have a 41.5 versus about a 42 1/3, so I'm going to call it 5/6 of a second.
Good luck. You'll need it.
That is some heavy-duty math.
Now you're looking at the math guy right here. So rockets for both. Great opening drop for both of our competitors here.
I'd like to see it in invulnerability and a foot to follow. Both looking for the orb, and Governatore the first to get it.
That's great. Now the key for him is he needs to keep that orb healthy. That was dangerous, and he paid the price, Burgundy.
The little Cavalier saw the razor ship, but gets a replacement orb back.
Wow, the game showing mercy to Governatore. There's Aquas going to go into 124 to eat my shrapnel. Governatore about maybe 3.5 seconds behind with a 128.
Guess that PayPal payment from Governatore was instantaneous to RNG's.
It must have been. So eat my shrapnel. Governatore needs to make sure he keeps this room under control. Get some good weapons there to take down both the Swarmers and the Mr. Shrapnels. Neither of these players really getting anything to work with.
Now, this is definitely one of those you've got to earn it races, at least this particular one. Nothing being too favorable, but the orb being kept healthy, and there's a nuke that, with the spawning, you don't really want to see. First into total carnage is Aquas, but only about 2 seconds ahead of Governatore.
Yeah, Governatore did not lose any time to Aquas. It's still that 3.5 second deficit. Spreaders for both, but more importantly, the Razor Shield for Aquas. He has a much better avenue to keep control of the middle, but here's Vitamin R for Governatore. Spreader for Aquas, again, will enable him to keep control of that middle. Here's a Razor Shield for Governatore, picks it up, but loses a little bit of that to Mr. Shrapnel. Oh no, a sabotage on the feet!
Oh, goodness.
Able to get away with it and keep that orb, as Aquas doesn't have much Razor Shield left.
Governatore trying to get up to that spreader, and does.
Man, and for the second time in a row, Aquas going into the bonus room with a 3 flat, but Governatore, not to be outdone, is about 7.5 seconds behind with a 308. And that means, ladies and gentlemen, we've got Taco Bell, product placement with Taco Bell.
And Chorito, Nacho Burrito. Master Tank, what are you doing here?
We got another Razor Shield for Aquas, a good opening drop here in tank trouble, and he should be able to take down both of the gunners, and he does. Watch out for that. Shrapnel loses the orb, unfortunately. Oh, and Governatore getting rockets. These are the kind of drops he needs. Both gunners down for him. Spreader, he'll be able to keep control of that middle for a little while. Spreader now for Aquas.
Getting the invulnerability just to kind of force some more drops here. Gets a foot as well, now another foot, trying to increase the speed, but is looking for those weapons. A spreader would be okay, but those rockets are what are ideal in this room.
All of a sudden, the weapons have dried up for both players, and that is bad news for Aquas. Governatore doing some great dancing to keep that orb healthy here. This has definitely been his best effort so far. Watch out for that shrapnel. Very good. Aquas, though, picking up some rockets. Does finish the room. He'll still be in the lead, but that lead has been cut a little bit more. 428 versus 432. It's about 4.5 seconds front. We got ourselves a dogfight.
This one has definitely closed up here. We'll see how that... Well, now we got a spreader right off the bat for Aquas. Tries to manual, doesn't get much out of it here.
Yeah, it's a tough sell when you have those gunners to deal with. There's a spreader. Can Governatore get to it in time? He will get to it. Governatore's going to take the lead on this, I would imagine. Oh, but then he gets sabotaged with lobbers, but he still has the lead. Might not be the end of the world because he might have been run over, so all in all, kind of a wash, I'd have to say.
Yeah, there was not much time left on that invulnerability. That red ring was kind of drying up, so that red ring would have potentially turned to death to look to a less retro console had Governatore stuck around there a little bit too long.
Governatore, I'd say, is in the lead by maybe a third of a form. Does get a replacement lobber. Oh, and Aquas gets run over, so Governatore has a chance to further that lead. There is the penultimate form now for Governatore. Going to ignore the grenades that's on the mine. Now picks up rockets. Aquas with more lobbers here, trying to pop that head, and there it is. So Governatore still in the lead, now changing it up to lobbers. Aquas needs a spreader here to steal this one. Final form now for Governatore, and a PB potential's in play if he can land some shots.
Oh, there's the spreader damage, but gets run over. Now a spreader here, and Governatore gets run over.
Gets run over! A lobber, though, that's a better weapon, but is it going to be enough to take down Aquas, or will Aquas... No! It's going to be Governatore! He does get it! He may have tied his PB on this one. This is going to be close. Governor going through the door. It's going to be a 625. He's tied his PB.
Oh, wow. A PB tie, 625. You can see by the red there that it might have been a few tenths of a second below the PB, but still, 625 is nothing to shake a finger at.
Yep, and Aquas, that one spreader just wasn't quite enough to withstand Governator's effort there. A great run for both, but we are going to a fourth, Burgundy.
You like to see it, and now the prediction coming into here into GG speed runs. Well asked question. Governor tied his PB. Can he tie the series at 2?
That is a very good question indeed. Make your predictions now. I'm asking if both runners are ready for game number 4. Aquas still in command with the 2-1 lead, but Governor has to feel pretty good after that run. That was definitely his best effort up to this point.
About a minute left to go in that channel points prediction, and at least as far as the points go, it's pretty even.
Yeah, I would expect that to be even as well. I'm still waiting for the ready on Aquas, and then we can get started with game number 4. Might have had to tend to something for just a moment, but we will get it ready. Hang on.
No worries. It builds the tension and gives more time to the voting here. About 30 seconds left on that.
All right, I've got both of these runners on their way, so we should be starting in the next few moments. Governor with a very impressive showing, a PB tying 625 to force game number 4. Can he get the reverse sweep? Let's find out.
Good luck.
And the final tally's in 51% yes, 49% no. So this is a split decision here.
Absolutely. Governor on an all-time high right now. They both have their razor shields. Wisely ignoring the smart bomb is Governor. The next drop a foot versus an invulnerability. So neither player going to get the quick room ending. But once again, this is a really good lead for Governor going into collect power-ups. This is going to be a high 40 versus a high 42. About a 2-second lead for Governor.
You like to see it, and Rita Coolidge would be proud of that all-time high reference.
It certainly would be. So, vulnerability for Governor, nothing to write home about. A smart bomb for Aquas, that'll give him a little bit of a breather. Oh, and look at this.
There's the orb.
Gets the orb, but
and
not to
Aquas
be
gets
outdone. Aquas gets his own. Right you are, Ferran. There's rockets now for Aquas, kind of in a tough position. Spreader for Governor, not bad, but again, advantage Aquas in the weapon department, and will use those rockets to finish the room. But Governor still leads by a little bit going into Eat My Shrapnel.
Absolutely, and as we cross the 9 o'clock hour here on the East Coast, we are live for the for that question there in chat. We are live, pal.
Yeah, we are definitely live. Rockets for Aquas. Some foot soldiers left to go. We'll be able to get this room under control. Razor shield for Governor, and now rockets. He can finish the room with that and take it with him to total carnage. So right now, advantage Governor in the weapons, and he should probably, yes, he'll still have the lead 2:07, and it's growing a little bit to almost 2 seconds. So here we go. Governor looking hot right now. And right as I say that, I'll take full responsibility for that one, Ferran.
Well, I was going to say it was a rather savvy move. Oh.
Governor getting blessed with another orb drop, though, so doesn't get burnt too terribly, but we may have a lead change here.
Yeah, those spreaders allowing Aquas to mow down those swarmers, and now a spreader here for Governor. Going to do the same.
Oh, how did Aquas grab those rockets from that mine? That was a dangerous grab, but he pulled it off. For those who are wondering, coming up next is going to be Aquas versus Zexy, and Aquas with the 306. So we do have a lead change, but Governor kept the damage under control and is going to be behind by about 6 seconds as we have some product placement for Ron.
Oh yes, Taco Bell, product placement with Taco Bell.
All right, so once again, we have another hotly contested match here. Game number 4 going into tank trouble, but Aquas has rockets left in that clip. Governor needs rockets as an opening drop and a smart bomb, so keeping those rockets, and it's just a dude for Governor. Advantage Aquas.
Oh no, and there goes the orb thanks to that shrapnel, and trying to avoid getting avoided getting clubbed down, but got shrapneled was Governor.
And the Mr.
Shredder, though,
having their way with Governor here, and Aquas continuing to keep that orb healthy. He's going to have double-digit lead for sure as long as he keeps that orb intact.
Avoids the invulnerability, wants to keep to the middle, but now a little bit of trouble. But here's the end of the room for Aquas.
Oh.
It's going to be about a 419.
PB is in play. Under 95 seconds, he'll have that PB. If he can get 81 seconds or less, that would be a tournament record. It's possible, so let's see what happens.
5:54.5 is the PB for Aquas. Attempts the ball buster unsuccessfully.
Yeah, if you see the orb float away like that, you know you've missed it. If it kind of just stops dead in the tracks, you know you've gotten it.
Switches from grenades to rockets as now Governor entering Mutoid Man at about a 4:55.
Yeah, he finds himself about 35 seconds-ish behind Aquas. He's going to need some spreader luck here right about now. Aquas not getting the spreaders he needs to get the PB. He needs to see a spreader if he wants that, but he's still in firm control of this. Oh, and he's getting double invulnerability. Oh, this is not good.
Well, there is a lobber. Now with about a 2.5 form lead, well, more a 2 form lead as the one arm popping here for Governor, but the chest already popped open for Aquas.
This one's not over yet, but Governor needs to see a spreader, and very soon. Another consistent damage lobber there for Aquas as the head pops off. So yeah, he continues to be 2 full forms ahead. Governor needs to see a spreader right now.
A foot being sat on here by Mutoid Man. There's a spreader, but he's going to have to manual it.
Yeah, it's in a very bad position. He couldn't take the death there, even if he wanted to. Another spreader. This is a long way to go for on it. He'll be able to get it, maybe? No!
Oh, just missed it!
And it's all over. Blink and you'll miss it. Aquas wins. He's moving on, and he has guaranteed himself some cold, hard cash.
So unfortunate. Finally getting the spreader drops, but in just abysmal positions.
Yeah, absolutely. Governor had a chance, but the game, I mean, he played very, very well. And, you know, when he did lose the orb, you know, other than game number 1, the game at least gave him a shot at, you know, making it a ball game. But that tank trouble where he got absolutely no weapons to work with ended up being his undoing. And Aquas, just very consistent gameplay. I mean, other than, you know, the bad luck he had in tank trouble in game number 1, Aquas was pretty darn consistent the entire way.
And a spreader, of course, on the final form, and the rockets spawning right on top of the mine, just as another stone-cold salute here to Governor on his way out.
And then as he tries to pick up another spreader, he gets run over and has to use a continue.
Oh, goodness.
And finally, we do see that Mutoid Man goes down. Governatore put up a solid effort against Aquas, but it just wasn't enough, as he will be eliminated from the tournament just short of the money rounds.
Uh, 7:44. Again, a lot closer than the times indicate, but RNG is a cruel Mr. or Mistress.